Hello there and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I have the Object 268 for you and I want to talk about it in some sort of revisiting it. Now when I made my tank review on it, which has been quite some months, I thought that I bring it to you in the shape of, saying that it is not bad, that I like it, that it has its strengths and weaknesses. So I played it now the entire day yesterday and also today to find out why some people hate this tank. And when I said that it is actually good, I meant it for, comparing it to battle rating equivalent casemate tank destroyer types of tanks. Of course, since then a lot of things have changed. The French got their AP buff and they got their autoloaders, ready racks, faster reload, even more, tanks with stabilizers are around and whatnot. So we see also a little bit of power creep if you want to see it like this. But still, I like the Object 268 for the one reason that it is balanced, yet it is fun. And this is why I personally want more of those tanks. It has maneuverability, not in the greatest amount, but it has mobility. It has a big old gun with a long reload, but that doesn't really ask too many questions about the armor that it meets. Also, and this is pretty fun, the armor layout rather, doesn't really work out, which is a new thing for Russian tanks, that will compare it to, the other tanks of other nations and give you some sorts why in more greater detail people don't like this thing. So first of all, let's have a look at the stat card or the modifications, and we have three ammunition types. We have basically a KV-1 HE shell or a KV-2 HE shell, and we have a 18.2 second reload, so a bit faster than the Jagdtiger, to which I will compare it in just a moment. Then we have the heat shell with just 250 millimeters, so no real upgrade above the ISU 152. In general, people might hate this because it gives them the ISU 122 flashback, just at a higher battle rating. And then we come to the actual selling point, which is the strongest APHE BC round in the game, the BR450B. Now, keep the numbers and the, penetration values in mind. We are having here a rather bad muzzle velocity, but we have an insanely good rangefinder, which is pretty fast, fully upgraded, which takes a while, and the penetration is worse than the Long 88. It doesn't even keep the penetration all that well. And then let's compare let's have a look at the armor. So we have here the T10M chassis, slightly modified, but it's pretty bouncy and trollish from the front. Add to this the hash nerf, and you have not the greatest chances against this to one-shot it from the front. Yes, you have here the driver's hatch, but you also have here this flat part on the upper casement, which is much weaker than on the Jagdtiger, which has a lower battle rating. But due to advanced Russian bush technique and this tank being a rather rare guest on the battlefields of War Thunder, I've just seen a handful of other Object 268 when I played it. I think you can hide it and not a lot of people really will know how this tank will work out. But back to the armor, why people think it's weak. It has this massive, huge casemate that is not that strong and rather flat from the rear, from the side, easy to penetrate, and all the greatness of the hull, even with the trollish angling. When you angle the hull, this upper frontal plate is still very strong and very bouncy. Then you can protect the lower glacis and you can switch between it with a bit of angling while you reload. But that's not the actual problem. The problem is that then the angling on the upper hull, especially from this side, which you, due to the heavy machine gun, want to present to the enemy when you angle due to the hull, can be easily penetrated, especially by T-29s, T-34s. Hell, even the Germans with the Long 88 have a decent chance of going then through that, which is unusual if you think about Russian angled armor. But the actual point why people really hate this tank and which gives them flashback to the Maus and to the E100 if they have them, and to the Jagdtiger and to the Sture Emir, is the big, huge cannon breech that always gets damaged. Now, before we move to other tanks to compare them, we have just 4 crew members, the driver in the middle, so you usually will kill him with APDS and then disable the engine from the front with not angling. With angling, you have a damn hard time going through the upper hull. And then you have, well, you have the loader, then also the commander and the gunner. They are both on the right hand side. And, you know, with just 2 crew members, you're having an awful long reload. But even when you're down to 3 crew members, one of the great things about this tank, the 14.5mm KPVT machine gun, is out of order. So it's, you know, commanded by the commander, and he's the first one to get replaced. He replaces any other of the 3 crew members in the tank. So then that's out of order, and suddenly you're just a more mobile, less protected Jagdtiger. However, you have great mobility. 15.0 horsepower per ton ratio is great, and the top speed is great. You see it in a straight line. You often go with 40, 45, even with 50 kilometers an hour, and just at, you know, hills, you really feel that you are not a I don't know, a Leopard 2K, just to give you the impressions. But your gun just penetrates a lot of, well, armored areas where you would bounce with the Jagdtiger's AP CBC round, because this is a Russian APHE BC round, and it's having a huge caliber within War Thunder, 152 millimeters, which is on light cruisers if you compare it to you know, naval guns. 232 is misleading, because when you compare it to the 128mm on the Jagdtiger, then it gets funny if a Jagdtiger shoots a Jagdtiger and if the Object 268 is shooting a Jagdtiger, because they aim at different areas. Because the Jagdtiger's best chance to penetrate another Jagdtiger straight head on is through the lower glacis, where it has so much penetration power that it also goes through the transmission, and the upper casement, but not the upper glacis. And this is where it gets really, really weird, because the Object 268 can penetrate the upper glacis and the lower glacis of the Jagdtiger, but not the upper casement, because it lacks the raw penetration power. Now, even if we compare it to the Jagdtiger's 128mm here, where it is, there it is, you know, it has better penetration at any angle, at any range, better muzzle velocity and whatnot, and yet it very often does much worse against angled armor. I've encountered this numerous times, and this is due to testing. The stat card cannot be trusted. And despite the Jagdtiger having now a lower battle rating than the Object 268, I would prefer the Object 268. In fact, I'd love the Jagdtiger to have this gun, because then the Jagdtiger, well, gets really the feeling of being that brutal, badass, straight head-on monster, which, you know, facing Russians, you have some problems. And again, the biggest advantage of the Object 268, it doesn't face other Russian tanks. In arcade, this is even rarer to be seen. However, you know, the advantage over the T95 is that you have just better ammunition, that you have much more mobility, that you can defend yourself much better against aircraft and flankers. But you know, the T95 has the secondary 12.7mm Browning. Then let's move on to the British and the Tortoise. And again, the Tortoise is somewhat the same case. You have worse mobility, you have also a little bit of machine gun defensive firepower, but nothing really strong, you know. And your armor is also very situational. Good in a down tier, but not so good in an up tier. And if the enemy knows your weak spots well, you even will lose against the T-34-85 from in front that will one-shot you. But the same problem is, again, if you shoot the gun mantle here, or you penetrate a little bit from the side, even with APDS, then your gun breech is knocked out. And a casemate tank destroyer, well, you have then your problems. But with support, you are, a big rock that breaks the enemy waves sometimes. And then let's move on to the Japanese, and they really introduced the fast tank destroyers with the Hori production. And funnily enough, this is probably the tank that gives you the most problems on the battlefield. This is a bigger threat to you than a Jagdtiger. Think about it. With the same battle rating. And then the French, well, they have probably the best casemate tank destroyer out there, and it features some similarities and some differences. The similarity is that you have good mobility, but the Foch is faster. The Foch has better armor, smaller weak spots against advanced bush technology helps you to hide it at close ranges against enemy that don't know it, and they just will bounce all day long. And you also have this nice 15mm MG151-15, but instead of being limited due to the magazine that the Object 268 has with around about 50 rounds, you have here a belt, but you have to fight the overheat. But again, you have to get used to it. So the Object 268 is then also a bit of a mixed bag when it compares to the comparison in the tech tree. I mean, you're probably the weakest object currently in the tech tree. Object 120, insanely brutal gun. Object Nano 6, give it all the memes. Autoloader, stabilizer, amphibious, APHE, heat, insane reload, whatnot. And then you're with this brick there, and coming after the SU-122-54. According to the numbers, it's a bit of a drawback, and you very often have to research it in order to get into a tier 6, which is now the most populated rank out there throughout War Thunder, throughout all the nations. And you want to make your way up to the IT1, you have to go through the Object 268. You want to unlock rank 6, best way is to go with just the premium and 3 lanes, and most lane containing tanks at rank 5 are the IS heavy tank line and the tank destroyer line. Then give yourself the Object 906, or go either with the medium tank line, and you can unlock rank 6. So the Object 268 is like a stinker, but it's the most balanced tank out there. It's also pretty fun, because if you one-shot one with this huge gun, it's so satisfying, and it punishes bad play. It's a bit more unforgiving than some other Russian tanks, and this is the main message why I like this tank. So now I will give you a bit of a compilation of nice scenes, and then show you a bit of a ridiculous scene, or a ridiculous battle. And I want to begin with this hilarious scene. So I rangefind a Leopard and I kill him for my 6th kill, and this was of course the most successful battle that I had in terms of pure kills. And then look at this hilarious scene. RU-251 takes out my gunner with a heat round, but before the gunner gets replaced, I can use my heavy machine gun to take out his gunner. He panics and does the one thing that he shouldn't do. He drives in front of my gun. this was hilarious. This was hilarious, and I thought I want to share it with you. And there we go. We have now the survivor with 7 kills, and I wanted to share the results for you before I go on to exploit a little bit more of the heavy machine gun, which makes this tank so great, which I love on each tank to play mind games with the enemies. So 7 kills, and we got 42,000 silver lines. Big part of it is due to the 7,500 silver line reward that you get from the survivor, and 4,000 research points, and we fulfilled a war bond task. So now let's play a mind game, shall we? So you see this big rock in front of me, or this mountain, and there are some sniper positions on there. We're fighting the US and the British, so I expect there to be some sort of light tank. And it might be an M50 Ontos, it might be an M56 Scorpion. They're usually there. So I'm in a casemate tank destroyer, and I have some issues aiming there. My gun handling is bad, my gun firing arc is limited, again very bad gun handling, and I also have to prepare for somebody to come around the building to which I'm driving here. So I heard some shots firing, I see a smoke cloud, and now this is the mind trick. Look, I'm aiming at him, but before I could elevate the gun, the M56 Scorpion retreats, so I stopped the video here. So again, and this is where the mind trick comes in. I now act like I am not giving a damn about him, I'm ignoring him, or I have forgotten about him. So I will position my tank in such a way that the gun aims at the corner and he has a reason to come out. But he might have forgotten that I have a heavy machine gun. So let's watch it if he falls for the bait. And in typical American light tank fashion, he falls for the bait and I kill him with the heavy machine gun. Beautiful, wasn't that beautiful? I empty the heavy machine gun so that I get a new magazine into it. Another example in another match in the very same position. First, let's remove the Super Pershing, I'm annoyed with it. And then there is an M50 Ontos, again another light tank for the Americans. And he just shoots here, I mark him with the heavy machine gun and he shoots me with a heat shell that doesn't penetrate the upper casement at that extreme angle. So he panics, gives me the side, and I can easily kill here the driver, giving me the kill. Again, emptying now the heavy machine gun, and I didn't have to waste the shots here. That keeps me in the battle. So I now can push up with a big portion of my team. We stay in the momentum. I still have the, you know, shell in the barrel or in the gun breech. And so I can do it. Now, by this time I might have even reloaded, but just for the sake of it, let's remove a British tank. Beautiful. So then there is this scene. At the moment my heavy machine gun is not operational, I'm down to 3 crew members, and you could continue the fight, but I replenish one of my crew members in the cab and I go through this effort because the very next scene, or the very, well, let's just run the scene. There is an aircraft in the air and he just does the bad thing and wants to shoot me. So here I'm protecting the cab. We have won the city so far, according to the position of our remaining teammates. It was quite a hard fight and teamwork was involved. Now you hear the plane flying overhead and I don't even bother to rotate the gun. I cannot do it in time. Bad drop of the, well, guns, and I shoot him and I hit him once. So now he seems to not have any particular damage. My belt is running out, or has run out, or the magazine rather, and he does a very stupid thing. After his bomb miss, I bait him into going into a straight line, and I critically damage him. He burns and he crashes into the ground, giving me the kill. I couldn't have done this without my crew member. Now I want to show you how to save, you know, allies from being annihilated by American light tanks. So there is a hurry production and he has some issues with an M56 Scorpion, so I have to angle awkwardly and I kill the M56 Scorpion. I saved an ally and he has a damn good game afterwards. Same goes with this IS-6. We are already visiting a little bit the enemy spawn, but nothing's happened there. The IS-6 is now advancing, I let him pass, and there is a T-114 and he is about to finish the IS-6, but I kill again the commander, saving the IS-6 here, and I again empty the belt or the magazine to get a new clip into it. So just a quick reminder what the heavy machine gun on top is good for. There is some annoying fly in the air, so let's swat it out of there with a fiery bullet. German aircraft, they burn bright so nicely. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? So now I want to show you also the mobility in an entire battle. This battle is not the battle with the most kills or the overmost action, but I think it's a good, you know, overall ending to the discussion if the Object 268 is indeed a bad tank or if it is rather good. Again, the Object 268 by itself is, in my opinion, balanced. You need to have some skill and some knowledge about the tank to know when to use it and when not to use it. And sometimes impatience is what gets you killed. You have this great mobility. Look at this, traveling here over medium terrain with 43, 41 kilometers an hour. That's not bad, that's not slow. And you still have this bouncy armor and this monstrosity of a gun. Together with, I'm not quite sure if I've mentioned it, the 14.5mm heavy machine gun, which I love. Now in this battle, spoiler alert, the heavy machine gun is of no use, sadly, although there being a lot of opportunities or chances where I could have used it if it would have been still available. So I rush into A and I observe here the spawn, or the, well, rather sniping hill or sniping bridge from the enemy. You know, leopards and whatnot, they love to come over here. And I received my first heat shell, but thanks to Russian side armor skills of the T10M hull, it did not do a lot of damage, and the only thing that received a little bit of damage are my tracks, at least the right ones. So I'm capturing the zone, and I'm looking for cover here near this stone. So this object is actually an object of desire for when it comes to balance. Again, it punishes you if you play like a numbnut, if you play badly, if you go into position that you should have not gone into. But it rewards you, more or less, if you plan ahead. Like in so many other nations' tanks. This is not an Object 120 lol, aim, pen, everything. This is not an Object Nano 6 lol, I hit everything from the front with my stabilizer while driving with 60 kilometers an hour everywhere. Lol, I'm not an IS-6 that... Well, I've said enough about it. So you get the point. This is a balanced old school tank already going into the high tier meta, where there are so many stabilizers, so many APDS, where you begin to meet AP FSDS, and so your armor doesn't always count for that much. And you see here the problems with positioning, and yet I would take this tank over the Jagdtiger. Now there is a little bit of a failure where I know that this guy has seen me, and I give him the chance to hit me with a heat shell. He takes out my driver and my engine with a heat shell, and he comes out in front of me. Of course he beats my reload and sends another second heat shell into my tank, but it just kills the gunner and not the driver, and he does the big mistake of going in front of me a second time, and the third heat shell doesn't do damage, but my AP HE BC round, when I hit the tank that is pure deletion, pure removal, and I like that. So I was kind of punished that I didn't hit with the first shot. And you see the enemy shot at me 3 times, and it was my mistake to not hit him the first time. And I was punished by it by losing 2 crew members. The enemy is fully spaded, and against a stock tank I would have had much more chances, much more fun. But again, the mobility is there. Big advantage above the Jagdtiger, which could have probably not taken that shot into the Type 60 SBRG. And again, due to the very sensitive fuse, the shell actually went off and exploded inside of this very thinly armored tank, which the Jagdtiger shell would have just simply overpenetrated, probably not been able to kill this tank. And so again, I have a bit of a faster reload on a bigger gun, so I have more chances to overmatch. The bouncing chances are less. APHE BC round uses a bit of different game mechanics, it seems like, compared to AP CBC rounds, which the Germans and the Americans and the British with their normal solid shot shoot. So hence you have, with lower guns, much more increased chances of bouncing. So now I use the, sound of the engines flying over me to sneak up on another British tank. So I want not to go into the spawn camping mode. No, I have in mind to go into B. But I need to first, clear my way. And to remove a British tank is always a good way to clear the way ahead. So now I can turn without getting, bombarded by APDS rounds, and can make my way into B. Now again, situational awareness is always important in any tank. And yes, other tanks have, better chances in certain situations. Again, it's a case-made tank destroyer. You know exactly what you get in the first place. You're mostly always inferior to a tank with a turret that can turn even when the engine is knocked out, even when the driver is knocked out, when trying to get gun on target around the corner, when the enemy is either disabled or not there. So I noticed that a T-54 got taken out by a T-92, and I saw the shell whizzing by from the left, so I turned my tank there, and I get immediately shot. And now we can use the Smokescreen, which I press around about now because I don't see the enemy. I have limited chances to hit him. I'm already in the zone, so when I stop, the smoke gets replenished rather quickly. And you have the single launch that immediately gets replaced instead of tanks that launch 6 rounds, so therefore you have to wait for 6 reloads. Again, I'm completely replenished. And now aircraft are coming in. Gladly for me, they have no bombs, or they're just fighters. I guess this is an A7M1, the premium version according to the paint job. And I could shoot him down easily. So, bombs get in, and now I'm tracked. I release another charge of smoke before the other smoke runs out. It has a rather long endurance time, and I'm in the cap, so now I repair faster. Thanks to everybody that pointed that out in my E100 gameplay. Very often I'm looking at other things and accept, or have to accept, the repair time as it is. And now I can reverse even more, launch another smoke round, so I'm consistently reversing out of the situation. Yes, I could turn around, but those aircraft, I don't know when they track me, when they will disable my engine or whatnot. They harass me quite a lot. And again, I could have had shot down 1, maybe 2 aircraft with these in my books. And of course he keeps me spotted, but now I'm in hard cover. I see that some smoke is going on. I see that the T-92 was taken out in the kill message, and I think it was the T-92. So I assumed wrongly that he is to my left. Instead, he was to my right. So this was a bit of a misplay, and I didn't get punished for it. I should have probably get punished for it. And again, the aircraft is constantly harassing me, spotting me. He does no damage, but he keeps me spotted. So that's a bit annoying. And he gives me so many chances to shoot him down. But the bad encounter with the M46 in the beginning, punished me for that by misplaying it. Despite being up to 3/4 of my crew strength. So the F-84B finally crashed after having taken out a Panther II with rockets, and I just want to go into my 3rd capture zone to capture it. And there are just 3 enemies alive, and at least 2 of them are in aircraft. So I want to go into the cap. The first plane whizzes by, and another one comes in, and just before I could go into the cap and join it with, capturing it, my track gets blown off. I was cursing quite a lot. I was just meters away, but the tank that decapped C got killed. So this is my chance to capture it again. Now, I'm tracked. There is nothing that I can do. I cannot really defend myself against all the aircraft flying around. So again, this is getting punished for losing crew members, even a single one. But at least I have this heavy machine gun, which the Jagdtiger doesn't have. And again, you have a better lineup with all the light tanks, medium tanks, and heavy tanks compared to the German tech tree or the Japanese tech tree. And also the aircraft support is most times better than with the Germans. Nope, I don't think so. I just braked in just the right moment. I move forward, bombs are dropping behind me, and I get tracked. Another smoke launch, but I captured the point. Another smoke saves me, and the repair times are a bit shorter. So yeah, first in team with quite a bit. GG Napalmratte, this is what I play War Thunder for. My team knowing that I captured all 3 points, that I killed 3 tanks, that I just was harassed constantly by aircraft. And it's better that they concentrate on me, dropping bombs on me, and I can avoid them, rather than taking out another tank of my team. And this is where we have broken the enemy, so I cut out the rest. So here are the results, and please pay attention to the Silverline earnings. 50,000 Silverlines and 4,700 research points. Compare the Silverline income from the 3 caps compared to the 3 tanks that I destroyed. This is where you get Silverlines, by capping a lot and doing a lot of actions. I also was shot a lot, and this is the Object 268. Maybe a little bit too spicy for some, but I like it just that way. Balanced, it rewards skillful, planning ahead, but it punishes you if you screw up, unlike some of the other Russian tanks. I personally can simply not hate this tank. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I apologize for the long video, but some of you really like it. And please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.